Hi there, my name is Kendrick, and today I get to interview Holly. So, Holly, welcome.
Hello, nice
So,
to meet you.
Holly, yes, nice to meet you as well. And can you please tell us your full type?
Sure. I was typed by David Shannon as ENTJ, so feminine, double feminine, TE and NI, and my animals are blast, sleep, consume, play.
All right, sweet. And then, since getting your official typing result, what did you think and how did you feel?
It was amazing. It was really cool. I was very convinced that I was INTJ. Not just because I'd taken tests or whatever, but um, I had been told by people that I seemed like an INTJ also, people who were familiar with type. And I had talked to people who were INTJ, and it was just like a little bit something off that was different, and it kind of just bothered me. Like, what is that? Why am I a little bit different than all these INTJs that I talk to? So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get it professionally typed. And I believe that it's a really useful tool for self-growth. And if I wasn't typed right, then it's the wrong shoe size, sort of thing. Then you're not using it right if you're not typed right. So that's why I went for that.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah, your type is super interesting. I do want to ask you some questions about being the only play last ENTJ in the community and even in the list of documents. You're social type 3, I think. So
Yep.
you have that like ego and flex. So does that like give you like an ego boost knowing that like you're super unique? Like there's no one else with this except for you?
Um, I guess maybe a little, but it's more like I never really wanted to be different too much, but it's just kind of like it's just like an acknowledgement. It's more like I understand that's like the sky is blue sort of thing. I just know that I am. Never really tried to be, I guess. Um, I guess I just have people in my life who help me not feel too misunderstood. So yeah, I know that can kind of come with that territory of being different than everybody. But yeah, I guess maybe a little bit of an ego. More like I just felt a lot of things made sense, I guess. Like I've always kind of struggled to connect with people, and maybe that's why. I'm not sure.
You know, the other really cool thing about your type is your double activated sleep. So it's like you're like an opposite EJ. You're like an EJ, but like super FI and super
Yeah,
I. So I usually I start with like asking about the first animal, but I want to jump in and like ask you about your double masculine, double activated NF sleep. That's super interesting that you have that, and it's in a savior state too. So it would make you come across very NF also.
yeah.
Can you share a little bit about like that inner world, that like double masculine NF inner world of yours?
I honestly was part of me thought I might be typed not INTJ and maybe INFJ or even just something I thought there was a possibility that it could be because I haven't always been aware of my emotions. It's kind of like this thing that just turned on one point in my life. I kind of just felt it. It's like suddenly it became alive one day. So yeah, I honestly like can remember the day like I felt like my I guess my FI just turned on and like I worked on self-improvement since then. So I wonder if like it wasn't always activated and it just became alive at some point in my life. I don't know if that's a thing, but it seems like it.
I think a lot of ENTJs they don't even have it activated, for a long time. So I think the fact
Yeah.
that yours became aware quite fast is the result
Yeah.
the result of that. Um, let's go over the parts then, and we'll come back. We'll loop back to the
Sure.
NF sleep. Your NT blast. This is your first animal. How do you personally experience that NT blast of yours?
Um, well, I'm not sure about blast, but and like I've always been a very philosophical person. I'll like to just I love having those conversations even in my own head. Like my mind is always active. It's like never quiet. Even when I like the only time my mind isn't like doing something, thinking something is when I'm asleep.
Right.
I have a lot of chatter in my head. So I wonder if that's is connected to probably uh NF's and what NT blast.
I mean, I guess you would communicate your philosophy through the blast, even though you
Yeah.
also said through the NF. Um, the one of the biggest thing about the NT blast is problem solving. So
Yeah, I do
you've
that a lot. Yeah.
like you've organized something, like you've already come up with like an organized solution that works for like a lot of people, and then it's not
Yeah.
like a one size fits all kind of deal. That's like a solution that works for because of the TE, right? Can you have do you have any examples of when you've like problem solved for someone? You probably do it a lot, but like
Yeah, I do
for
it.
someone, yeah,
I'll like kind of butt in if I hear something like someone's like I don't know how to do something and like I have an idea of how to do it. I'll like kind of butt in and be like, "Oh, have you tried this?" Or I work in public transportation, so if somebody's like, "I'm not sure what to do, one of my kids isn't here, what the best route is," and I'm like kind of butt in, just be like, "Oh, you know what? Just take this away." Like I can immediately kind of like vision it in my head and think the fastest way to accomplish something is always the gear's always doing that in my head.
right. I guess
Yeah.
you're problem solving nonstop all day long
Yeah.
to the NT.
Yeah. I never realized how much I did before. Like I was never aware of it until like somebody, well, till type and it kind of like pointed that out. I was like, oh, I do that. Yeah.
Now, the good thing about your blast is you're info dominant, so you're not like the consume last blaster where they got the answer from God or they pulled it out of their butt or something. Like you actually like there's like you actually have consume and it's third, it's SF
Yeah.
consume. So can you talk about what your SF consume like and then how you info dom where like when you do blast you have to you do make sure that you have the facts gathered and you do have the support
Right.
documents to prove that what you're saying is actually accurate and stuff.
Um, I think I'm always willing to be wrong. A lot of times I have no problems being wrong, so I double check a lot of what I do so that I'm confident in what I'm saying or what I'm doing. I've put a lot of I've double checked everything, so I know what I'm talking about when I do. So I thought I had consume last, but I guess I don't, and I'm really kind of glad about that because I do like that function a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's very useful. Um, so I was really glad that it wasn't as a demon. So yeah, I like to learn. I like to just gather and information. And what I tend to do is I'll learn something and I'll just kind of pick out pieces of whatever it is that might be interesting or relevant in some way, and I just kind of like highlight it in my head. So and then my husband tends to be the poor soul that I dump everything I learn onto. Like, I learned about this today, and then talk about it for like 15 minutes. Like, I just got home. Like, I really gotta talk to someone about this. It's really cool.
Oh, is it what you learned or is it like a consume report of like what happened throughout your
Yes, that
stuff?
too. Yeah, both. Um, yeah, I definitely just kind of like dump it out of me, like all this information, like a demon exorcism.
That's funny. That's so funny. I can actually see that because my girlfriend's an INTJ and
Okay.
she has to give me like a consume report too when she gets home. And I'm like, and I know when she gets home, I have to sit there for like an hour just to finish like
Yeah,
the
I do that. I definitely do that. I did that today.
yeah. Yeah, otherwise she can't function. Like she literally cannot function until like it's all out, like the
Oh
consumer.
yeah.
Yeah. So I totally get where you're coming from when you
Yeah, I do that. I definitely do that for
yeah.
sure.
Um so the interesting thing about your consume is because you have consume activated, that means you have double activated FI as a result because you have sleep and consume in your middle animals, right? Um, so consume is correlated also with external self-awareness. So it's almost
Mm.
like becoming a ghost and seeing yourself from like a third person perspective. So at
Okay.
like any given time, you have that like image that you portray to the tribe. And because yours is SF, so it's like what's cool, what's popular. Um, do you actively present it that way? It's still a demon, obviously, but like,
Right.
do you actively try to present yourself in like that SF manner? Like what's like
Oh,
trend?
like what? Like a softer? Like
No, like,
a
like it's SF, so it's like like there's different kinds of consume, right? Like I have NF
right.
consume, right? So NF, like people with NF consume try to have that image of like altruism, like
Okay.
you're like an
Yeah.
altruistic person because it's NF, right? Like,
Right.
you're living a meaningful life and you're always up to something that's like, bigger, and if you have like ST consume, then you come across as competent, or like
Yes.
or like NT
Yeah.
consume, you come across as smart, like those INTP people.
Right.
So yours is SF, so it's gonna be like what's cool, what's popular, and a lot of people that has your um
Mm.
function stack, whether that be ENTJ or like those other guys like ESFP or whatever, they tend to be like popular, right? Because they do have that image of you know like what's trendy and what's cool. Is that something that you personally follow? I mean, you also have Savior Flex too, right? So is that something that
Yeah.
you try to like do for yourself? You try to have like that image of like you try to be presentable, you try to be trendy.
Yes. Not necessarily trendy, although I would definitely say that a lot of the things that I've liked hobby-wise were not cool when I was like a teenager, and now they are. And I was like, yeah, I helped make that cool. Like anime. I like anime. Like when I was younger, like nobody I knew watched anime, and now everybody does. So I'm like,
Yeah.
you're welcome.
I love that flex. And
I was willing to be the nerd so that you weren't too when you found it when there was too much of a social stigma. Yeah. So I guess yeah, I could see that finding things that are cool and trendy. Definitely cool. Um I listen to what I call I guess cool music and like to talk to people about it.
right, right. Yeah, there is such thing as cool music, so that makes sense. Um, and it's also interesting you brought up the anime thing because it is true. Like it is popular now. It's mainstream now, right? So it's kind of
Yeah, what
weird. Like, how did that happen? It feels like a flip of a switch. I'm like
cool
one day when
people.
only nerds watch it, and then now it's like
Yeah.
everyone watches it. So it is weird.
Yes. Yeah, I started watching it like, oh man, years ago, like long before it was like the cool thing.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I guess you're
Yeah.
ahead of the curve in that sense.
Yeah, and in some ways more than just anime, but that's a really good example.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's go back to your sleep again.
Okay.
So that's the first part. But however, even though externally you try to present yourself in a more presentable manner because of that SF consume, deep down inside you're a hippie. You're like an NF hippie, right?
Yes.
So
Yes, that's really accurate.
and then you have like very deep thoughts,
Mm,
philosophy, wisdom, that kind of stuff. Um, can you take us there? And what is it like to let's start out with the surface layer stuff, like the hippie stuff. Like
sure.
how does like the hippie part of you manifest?
Um, I believe that I believe like a lot of good things. I had a good mentor when I was younger, and that made a big difference on me. My cat. So I guess some hippie stuff. I believe very much in self-improvement and leading by example, being a good example to people in my life. And I I told that in my video with David Shannon that um I I kind of just went through a big growth where I realized a lot of mistakes I'd made in my life were from me, and that was a very humbling experience. And so if I want to change anyone else, the best thing to do is to change me and to live by example. And that's something I take very seriously, and I think about it every day. and I'm very conscious of trying to be, I guess, a good example, um, and having a good attitude. I think having a good attitude is key to success.
Yeah, no, for sure. Um, and also with that NF sleep, it's also responsible for prioritizing, which is like the superpower.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
if you have it double activated, I'm sleep last, so it's like a huge struggle for me. But like, I'm curious to hear from your perspective. Um, what's it like to always be prioritizing the most important thing? Like knowing that you won't be able to do everything, but like being able
Oh,
to,
it's stressful.
yeah,
Yeah. So my mind is always, I didn't realize that until like Shannon kind of put like in my response there, like she shed some light. I know he's known I've constantly thinking of things I need to do, and like I'll systemize it in my head, like which one's the hardest, which one's whatever thing I need to do. I have it in my head which one I need to do first. Usually it's the one I don't want to do the least. I get that out of the way, kind of like ripping a band-aid off. So I just that's how my mind works. I'm always thinking of, okay, what do I need to do? Which one that is the most tedious? Let's do that one first and then work from there. Usually that's how my brain works constantly. So yeah, I'm tired a lot.
we'll talk about that because that's interesting also. Like a lot of play last people have the same problem as sleep last, like with the low energy thing. Uh,
Yes, that's me. I'm always tired.
um well, why don't we talk about it now since we already on this topic. So I think it was there in the group that first discovered why play last people are always exhausted also.
Oh,
Um
that's not
and
just me then.
yeah, it's like a play last thing. And he said it's because people with play last tend to put a facade to the tribe, you know, like
Yeah,
they have trouble being like just authentic and just like being themselves. They need to put like
it's
a,
so true. Yeah.
yeah, you need to
Like
put a front essentially. It's not
absolutely.
it's not like you can't do it with everyone. Like if like maybe your husband knows your true self, right?
Yeah, right.
So there's people that you
Thankfully.
let, yeah, there's people you let in for sure, but it's like not a lot, right? So
Yes, exactly.
like people either have to get to know you like a long time, or
Right. It's really
or
hard for people. I think it's not fair. I don't do it on purpose, but I think it's very hard to get to know me
yeah,
because I have a very hard time opening up to people. So that's I don't know what to do about that, but I'm aware of it at least.
right. Can you talk about that facade or like that front that you put up being play last? Like what is the purpose of that? Like what like why is there a front to begin with? I'm kind of curious.
Um, hmm. One I like to, well, especially at work, I like to look professional and responsible and maybe a little more outgoing than I really am. And I try to be I don't know, there's reasons to get close to people at work. It's useful.
Right.
Um, and I guess also I with friends even I have a hard time being myself around. Like maybe they maybe they won't like me, maybe I'm too much a bit too much of personality. I don't want to rub anybody the wrong way. That too is um present in my head. I have like a system. I let everybody like there's a door. I let everybody in the door, associate level. And if we have some middle ground and we have some things in common, then you're friend. And if I can be myself around you, then you're like a good friend. Yeah. And if we take it to the next level where you really connect, I can really be myself, and I don't feel like you're gonna offend you or you can let the walls down a little bit, then you're like my best friend, and you're my friend for life.
So it sounds like your facade is to protect the tribe, not yourself. Is because
A
that's
little, yes. Yeah.
yeah, because your inner world's double masculine, right? So and your out and your play is double feminine. So you probably see the tribe as weak, and then they won't be able to handle you. Is that
Yeah.
true?
Yes. Yes, and also I would never admit it until now, but I probably am a little sensitive to like other people's feedback. If I like hurt someone, I would really like be upset with myself if I hurt someone's feelings or something.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
Yeah, I'd take full responsibility for that. And it'd probably like bother me for like a whole year.
I guess that's why when people try to get to know you, you're like
I'm really careful.
You're moving very like slowly, you know.
Yes. Yeah. It's like a vetting process, and it's kind of, I don't think it's really fair to do that, but I do it.
So it's kind of interesting you bring this up because I'm double activated play and I'm friends with a lot of play last people
Okay.
and 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 one thing I've noticed, and I did interview some other people that had play last also. So I told them that what I do with those play last friends of mine is the reason why we click so quickly is I go crazy with the play so much that they get like pulled out of their
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's almost like I wouldn't say it's a trick, but it's like
I like that though.
yeah, you get dragged into it, and then now suddenly
Yeah.
because when you're in that play state, it's kind of nice, right? So and then you
Yeah.
just be yourself and be spontaneous and stuff, and then suddenly out of without without thinking, you've already just you know um shared yourself with someone, and then now you're good,
Yes.
you're friends now, right? So
Yeah. I made the joke before I even learned anything. Like I need someone to adopt me or like be intrusive. Yes. Like it's okay. I will forgive you for being intrusive. I just don't want to be the one who's, it's not like a negative word. Like I don't mean that negative. Intrusive, just forcing me out because I'm very reluctant. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I do.
so you like it when someone that you're trying to get to know is like prodding
Yeah.
on, and
Yes.
and they're not doing it in a way that's malicious in any way. It's just like they actually just want to get to know you, you know? And
Yeah, I think that's flattering also. Yeah. Yeah, that someone takes an interest in you is nice.
yeah, and
They
then
shouldn't feel bad about it.
yeah, of course, 100%. And because you're info dominant, then you can always do the blast and consume and like do the back and forth. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, because David Chan did say that people that have that are info dominant, they don't screw up conversations, compared to that energy
Feel like I
dominant.
do. I feel like I do, but maybe I don't. But I'll like say something and like I'll be like, I shared too much.
Oh, is that the play
Yeah.
last that's making you feel that way? Because like,
Mm.
because play is about like back and forth, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
um I mean, it makes sense because it's like having too much play is also dangerous. Like, I'll give you an example. Today, I was at work and my coworker sent me a list of people that I need to contact for my day job. And then
Okay.
I told her, I'm like, oh, it's missing 3 people from the list. But I told her I'll go look for it myself later on. And then I paused and thought after I said that, and I'm like, oh shit. She probably thought like she wasn't doing her job properly because she missed those 3.
Oh, you
And
thought
then
about it though.
what's that?
You thought about that
No,
though.
but I thought
Yeah.
about it later on because I have I have sleep last, right? So I don't process till after the fact. And I'm like, ah shit. I hope I didn't hurt her feelings,
Oh.
So that's kind of like what I was thinking. Um so that's like the downside of like having too much play is sometimes you do overreach or say
Oh yeah.
you talk before you think and then you could hurt people. But at the same time, like the good thing about that is people kind of get used to it, so that they'll just be like, oh, it's like from in Mike's case, they're like, oh, it's just Kendrick. He doesn't take before he talks, So
Yeah.
so it
Yeah.
in a
My
way. Sorry, go ahead.
I have a friend who's an ENFP. I don't know if she's play first. She might be consume first. I'm not sure, but yeah, she's always telling me how she wishes she wouldn't overshare or bug people too much. And I'm like, no, you're fine. You are fine. I'm like, seriously, don't worry.
Yeah, it's probably the charm. So the charm of
She's
that.
very is, yeah.
Yeah. So going back to your NF sleep, part of NF sleep is also correlated with like having a code or a mantra of some sort that you kind of adhere to. It's kind of like your
Yeah.
guiding light. And I did notice that people in your what do you call it? People that have your functions, even in different order, they all have this thing. I've interviewed
A
people like
mantra, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I literally interviewed some people. They told me they don't have any mantra, and then after they told me they don't have a mantra, they tell me their mantra, which is ridiculous. Um, so so do you have any like mantra or code that you kind of adhere to? It's like
Very much, yeah.
yeah. What is it for you?
I just have my own personal like set of values. I guess my own code that I have listed in my head. Um, it's kind of complex, but I always believe in treating people fairly. I could play devil's advocate for anybody, even people I fundamentally disagree with. I have like a detached approach to a lot of things. I think it's kind of like my thing. I can understand most people. I may not be able to relate, but I can understand most people. So I think I try to be very fair, even to people I disagree with. So I'm very big on fairness. So like that's a big part of like my values is fairness to everyone. Unless you do something to screw up and now you're on my bad list, then all my personal rules and codes and uh go out the window.
Right.
You're not on that list anymore.
That's funny. You know, the interesting thing about your type is you're almost like a double decider because like you have double activated sleep is double masculine,
Yeah,
double activated FI. So
yeah.
your type is gonna be as close as it will get for like a decider to be a double decider.
Yeah.
That's why when you said that, it sounded like, oh my God, it sounds like you're doing like a rudimentary like double deciding almost.
Yeah, that's probably why I thought I was an INTJ too, because they're double deciders. So I was so convinced I was. I couldn't believe that I wasn't.
Right.
Yeah.
You're like right at the fence. You're like literally like at the fence, you know? So
I don't even know what to tell a lot of people what my type is. Like, am I an INTJ or am I an ENTJ? I guess technically I am an ENTJ, but
right.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, since you're an EJ, I mean, you kind of talk about the fairness thing, which is like an EJ thing.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I'm huge on that. Like, I didn't realize how much, but like it stands out like a red thumb. Like, if it's not fair, sore thumb. Haha, he's teasing me. My husband's teasing me. Yes. The fairness really stands out a lot.
what what um what happens when that like unfairness thing gets triggered? What like do you do anything about it? Do you speak up? What like, do you
The
what
only
happens?
person who is capable of hurting my feelings is my husband. Like if it's anyone else, I'll just like sweat it, but he gets I guess I just care about what he thinks the most and how he feels the most that he kind of like my family is kind of like my kill switch. So I'm more sensitive to if I felt like something he did was unfair, then on a rare occasion my as Shannon would say the FI kind of explodes. Or and yeah, I've definitely done that before. So if I get really upset with the fairness or whatever, and my FI does come over, I'm very aware that I've lost control. And I'll even apologize while upset for my behavior.
That's funny. um so with the FI being double activated, are you very keenly aware of how you feel at any given time, and you can kind of pinpoint like the emotion that you're experiencing
um,
when you're having like a, or does it have to be a strong emotion for you to pinpoint that?
um, it'd have to be really personal or something I relate to. Otherwise, I really don't know how I feel. A lot of times it's not much at all. But if it is something personal, then I feel it really strong. So it's it's like not really existent or it's really strong. Um there's very little in between. Yep.
I see. Maybe I should reword the question. So because your sleep is Ni and Fi together, so it's a reoccurring emotional pattern essentially. So what would you say is your reoccurring emotional pattern? You know, being double activated NF sleep, you're there all day, right? Like processing it.
Yeah.
So do
Yeah.
you have an awareness, or do you know what that reoccurring emotion is that keeps happening? Kind of like, you know, everyone like has like for example, I have SF sleep, right? So even though I'm sleep last because it's double masculine, I'm aware that like I know what emotions I struggle with. Like when I was younger, it was sadness, anger, and loneliness, right? Now that I'm
Right.
older, frustration is like a very top of the list, right? As well as feeling disrespected. So
Yeah.
but that's not like a recurring pattern. That's like the emotion, the specific sensory emotion that I'm struggling with. So for you, it's like a recurring emotion over like a long
Yeah.
time. So what would you say is your recurring emotion like that you
Um,
that you show like
negative one would be frustration, probably number one.
okay.
Usually I rarely ever cry, but if I do, it's usually just because I'm way over frustrated and I don't know what to do with myself. So usually it's frustration more than anything else. The negative ones. Um, positive ones is probably excitement. I get excited easy.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I like, I don't know, what emotion goes along with just being happy. Like humor. I'm very have I'm very attached to humor, like I laugh easy. So those would be the emotions that I identify the most with. So humor, excitement, negative would be frustration.
And you've seen that in yourself like over like a long period of time that like whenever
Yeah,
you're upset, it's frustration is
it's
the
almost exclusively that. Yeah.
oh
Yep.
that's interesting. Um, and then you said you laugh very easily. Is it because you have double feminine play? Like when you're with a tribe, it's like just very easy to like
Probably.
go
Yeah,
along with stuff uh,
definitely.
and do you have like a more dry humor with that like ST?
Oh, for sure. I love sarcasm.
Yeah. Do you have an example of like the kind of like dry humor that you're like you're into?
I'm always doing like jabs, like playful jabs at my husband or my kids. Um, so like it's always little sarcasms. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. This is my surprise face.
I see.
I
I
like have like no expression.
that's a good example actually. um, do you do that at work or is it because of your work you have like a certain presentation?
Um,
Doing?
I'm a lot more reserved. Um, but yeah, I like to at work. I guess I just think everyone around me has kids. They're working in child care, so I'll make like jokes about parenthood jokes that everyone can relate to.
Right.
Yeah. And like I'll just hear people laugh, I'm like, yes, good job.
So it sounds like you love being a jokester kind of person.
Yeah, when I try, but I'm definitely not like the funniest person.
Right.
I just kind of like sneak some witty humor in here and there.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And my marriage is like we're constantly doing like witty little jokes at each other like all day.
So I guess it's contained in that like family box, like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yes.
Um, so let's talk about your social type. Your social type is three, so you're a specialist and also flex.
Yes.
Can you talk about the specialist side of things? Like, how does that manifest in your life? And
Um, I always like know random things. And I'll just like add it to the conversation. Like, I'll just like pop in some random information all the time, that I think is useful or relevant. Um, if somebody's struggling with something, I'm like, well, have you looked at, like I just shoot some information at them that might be useful or relevant. Um, I didn't really know I was a flex type. I was like, I'm not a flex type. I don't like showing off, but um, maybe I'm just in denial about that. Um, but yeah, I think the type three definitely fits. Hello, kitty. Come on.
I think your animals also align with your social type almost like perfectly because
Yeah.
specialist is tied to blast and then
Mm,
number one the flex is tied to sleep and you have those as your
okay.
two saviors so it's like that alignment.
Okay. They did a really good job typing me, I think. Like really
Yeah,
good job.
yeah, I mean they've done it for a long time so they have lots of
Yes. Yes. It was a really humbling experience, so.
so the flex part is the one that you said that you might be in denial with, but
Yeah.
do you
I'm like,
not
I'm
like
so humble.
you don't like that flex side of you? Like,
Maybe it's just because like I see show offs all the time and it rubs me the wrong way. I'm like, oh, I can't be like that.
Well, that's kind of like Shan. She didn't want to be a number one because she thought they were like
Yeah,
jerks, and she ended up becoming a number one. You know, so is
that's
it some?
probably it. Yeah,
And then
relatable.
I don't know if you saw that recent video that they made about like the number three ESFP, but like
I
but
think
they
so. Oh man, I want to watch it now. I
yeah,
love
I won't
ENFP.
spoil it, but like basically they were saying that like people that has friends third is even worse than people that has friends fourth because
Okay.
they said that obviously the twos and fours save your friends if they just do it all day, so whatever, right? There's a slight difference, but overall they're obsessed with friends. And then the number ones, when they have a swing, they go all friends, because it's like a swing, right? So they'll like be the best person or try to have like that high status, and then they look around, there's no one there because they probably
Oh man.
they probably burn
Yeah.
bridges as a
That's
result,
frustrating
like
then. Yeah.
like propping yourself up so fast and then not taking time to build
Right.
real
Yeah.
relationships, right? But in this,
Right.
in the threes, it's in a weird place because it's activated, so they're like a little bit lazy about it. So it's not like
Yes,
they're
that's
like
me.
I have friends, I'll see them maybe once in a while, and it's good enough, and you know,
Yes.
but like, but it's not missing, so you don't have that swing where you go all in
Right.
like the force.
Yeah.
So how does that manifest in you, like having that like third as demon
Friends
third?
there. Yeah. Um, well, I make time for friends. It's like on a schedule almost. So my husband and I play Dungeons and Dragons, and like that's friend time. Like, yeah, I'll just come over, I'll make some food, we'll make some jokes together, sit around, hang out, but then I'm good afterwards. That's like that
Oh,
that it's like scheduled in. Yeah.
that makes sense. That makes sense. So you don't do the spontaneous thing. It's like a scheduled thing. Like
Yeah.
there's a friend box in your calendar.
Yeah, like if a friend just showed up at my door, I would be like, I'm not here.
That's funny. Which is even funnier because you're an EJ. So
Yeah.
yeah. Do you have that inner conflict then as a result of being an EJ, but like demon friends and also double activated sleep?
Yeah, I always think I'd like to have more friends and I would like to be a better friend. It's like I feel like I could be a better friend, like kind of hard on myself in that way. Like maybe because I'm play last, I'm not out enough.
Right.
So like I didn't realize I had play last, so now she's like you need to use it more, basically. And I'm like
Right.
I do. So I can kind of see that manifesting with friends or family. Yeah.
Well, what they said was your fourth function is the one that triggers you the most.
Okay.
So yours is FI, but then what bothers other people about you is your fourth animal. So yours is play. So
Yes. Oh,
you're
for
leaving
sure.
you're leaving a void somewhere as a result
Yeah.
of not using that play. Who knows what that is? Maybe you can make a guess what that is. You are lead intuitive, so you could probably make like a intuitive
Yeah.
guess.
Oh, what was the question? Sorry.
I mentioned that your fourth animal is usually the is what causes
Right.
problems for the tribe, not for you personally. So if the tribe's upset at you, it's because of something to do with your fourth animal. Uh,
Yeah.
so what void are you
Yeah.
leaving with that like being play
Oh,
being
um,
play last?
um, so with like play last or FI last?
No,
Uh,
play last. No, no,
okay.
the FI is what triggers you,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
but the play is what triggers the tribe about you.
Probably just play last. I don't make a lot of time physically with like being outgoing and doing stuff with people. I kind of just a homebody. So it's like you got to come to me. And
Right.
I shouldn't always do that. So yeah. I would like to like be more physically altruistic, help people move or help my parents around the house or more. I think I don't do that enough, probably. I just want to stay in my little home, in my little bubble.
is that something you feel like you're kind of charging up to? Like as you get older, that's something that you're gonna lean towards? Because I do notice that as people get older, they start tapping into their like, third and fourth function or third and fourth animal or the demon social type, in your case, friends and responsibility.
Right.
So do you feel like you're
Um,
charging up right now, kind of?
yeah. Yeah, I hope so too. Like I should. Like if like self-improvement's important to me, and if that's something that I need to be doing more for self-improvement, then that's what I need to focus on next. This is my next saga, my next leg of self-improvement is to work on that.
Gotcha. And what about your sexual modalities? You are tester and visual. So tester is like smell and taste, and
Oh,
visual,
really? Yeah, I
visual is like
forgot.
seeing.
Yeah.
So, and because you have extrovert sensing, because it tends to be a little bit different with those with introvert sensing. Um, do you have like I know you have demon consume, but like do you have like a need to try out different food, different smells?
Yeah, I really do. I love trying new things. I never order the same thing twice kind
Really?
of person. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
It's like almost like waste if you go out. Like I love just if I go out to my favorite Thai restaurant, I gotta get something different. Like or our favorite date place. Like I always gotta try something new.
Right.
Yeah. But occasionally like if I get something the same, it's like a drink. Like I know
Oh,
what I like to drink.
I see, I see. Gotcha. Yeah, that's interesting because those with SI they have like their favorites, so they go to that favorite.
Right.
Like the
Yeah.
SE and tester especially, they're more aggressive with like having something different every time.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm not picky at all. Like food texture wise, nothing. I'll try anything.
I guess for you the lure is not so much the taste, but the adventure of
Yes. Oh,
exploring.
for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, and what about the visual side of things? Like, are you a visual learner, would you say? And
Yes, for sure. Even like listening to something, if I had to listen to Shannon's audio clip like 3 times.
oh, because you have trouble with the audio side of things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also reading is hard for me. That's probably the worst one for me.
Isn't
Despite the
reading kind
fact
of
that I like
visual
to
though?
read.
Is it kind of
Yes.
visual though? So, but wouldn't that help you as a visual to read because you can see the text or no?
I have to read some things more than once.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Yeah, but I have a good imagination. I can read it, and especially certain authors, the writing styles, the way they write it, I can see it really well. Yeah.
I see. So it has to be like very descriptive then. Otherwise, you.
Oh yeah, there's a certain book. I swear the author is like an ISTP. It's like you feel like you're there. You're physically there when you read his book.
Like he'll like describe the surroundings
I
and
loved it. Yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah.
that's what I liked about the book. But like, what about the actual book? I'm like, but it's writing style.
I see. I see. So for you, the reading a book is to spark your imagination and like
Oh
to
yeah,
be in that world, not so much to like follow the.
immerse yourself in it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. All right. Last question for you, Holly. We'll wrap
sure.
up the interview. Last question is demon responsibility. Where does this kick in? Like how, like
As
what?
an ENTJ, yeah.
Yeah. So like for you personally, where does it kick in? Where like you have trouble with the responsibility thing?
Oh, I forgetful. I'm forgetful. Probably. Maybe that's what it is. Uh, and it also like feels like a mandatory thing. Like I have to do this. It's not something I enjoy, maybe. It's
Right.
just like I'm adulting. This is
That's
adulting.
funny.
So maybe that I guess that's kind of how I see responsibility. It's just
I,
this thing I have to do.
it's like something like you're reluctantly doing because it's
It's not
part
I'm
of.
doing it because I like it, but I'm doing it because I must.
I see, but you don't
Yeah.
feel you don't feel obligated to do it. Someone has to drag you to do the responsible thing then, because otherwise it's
Um,
or is that something you do?
I don't know. I feel like I do that responsibility pretty well. Um, but I definitely I get kicked in the butt with it for sure.
I see. I
Yeah.
see. Gotcha. Okay. No, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
That's where the tribe beats me on the head on. That's definitely that area.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we'll wrap up the interview here. So thanks for sharing more about your life being this very unique ENTJ type. So that's super.
Yeah. Well, thank you for interviewing me. It's nice to talk about it too, because it's exciting and you don't like nobody else I know really I have no one to like vent it on, like do the
Yeah,
blasting.
yeah. No, for sure, for sure. Yeah, there's no one. You sound crazy if you talk about it in real life with other people, right? So
Yeah, I
yeah, so
do
you,
probably.
you gotta talk with like internet friends about it.
Yes,
So,
exactly. And I talk to real life people and they're like, what are you talking about?
yeah, yeah. You just sound nuts.
Yeah.
All right, Holly, we'll wrap it up
Yep.
here. So take care, enjoy the rest of your evening,
Yep.
and
Thank
see
you.
you
You
around the
too.
Facebook groups. Yeah, bye bye.
Bye.